we're going to talk about today. The typical INFP's gentle, sensitive, yet super passionate and eclectic nature is usually best complemented by people who are kind of the same way, like really good listeners, patient, because it can take a while for us to come out of our shells, um, people who love to talk about theoretical subjects, they're not bored by that, and people who have a deep appreciation for creativity. That is like the formula for someone who is just going to do really well with an INFP partner or friend. Most experts agree that the personality types that tick those boxes are usually other intuitive feeling types like ENFJs, ENFPs, INFJs, and ESFJs. So let's talk about the INFP and the ENFJ relationship, first of all. When those two find each other, after some initial awkwardness, usually, probably, and that may happen because the INFP might like be literally running from them and hiding because they're afraid of their feelings. Sometimes that happens, not always. And the ENFJ would be like, what the heck is going on? So there might be a little initial awkwardness at first. But after that gets out of the way, it's kind of like magical. I think these two personality types might be almost perfect for each other because ENFJs, they're very artsy, they're very creative. Um, they're just naturally wired to think outside of the box. They're also incredibly kind, like very kind. They want to save the whole world usually. Um, they're also very polite. They're good listeners. They're just great. And they also have something that INFPs tend to struggle with, generally speaking. Like sometimes as an INFP, I will have my head in the clouds. I'll be focused on like writing a book and, not really focused on paying the bills or taking my insulin and things like that. But ENFJs, they have this really great ability to have a foot in both worlds. They can have their head in the clouds, but they also are very grounded and they remember and they help their partner to remember like the daily tasks that need to be taken care of. So they can kind of help to balance each other out. Oh, and the way the INFP can balance out the ENFJ is that sometimes, well, a lot of times, ENFJs are very charming, they're very extroverted, and a lot of times they are people pleasers. They just want to make everyone around them happy, and that means they will give, give, give until their well runs dry. So they need to have a partner who will look out for them and make sure that they're not overextending themselves to the point of hurting themselves physically, even or emotionally. So, INFPs, because they are naturally wired, generally speaking, to care about their partner and kind of go the extra mile to make sure they're okay. That's good for the ENFJ because the INFP will have their partner's back and let them know, you know what, I think you kind of need to take a day off. Like, go to the spa, take care of yourself. Stop taking care of everyone around you and take care of yourself. So in that way, the INFP can balance out the ENFJ who's just gonna go, 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 you know, until they can't go anymore. Now, what about some problems they might have? Well, one problem might be the the one thing, it's funny how the one thing you really love about somebody can also become like a little problem. I know as an INFP, I really admire the ENFJ's like charming and extroverted nature. But at the same time, when you are in a relationship with an ENFJ, you have to find a way to, I can't think of the word right now, come to, I guess, an agreement about how much you're going to go out. Because extroverted people, like ENFJs, they often enjoy going out with friends, being around lots of people, like loud rooms, big parties. That's their scene. But for the INFP, a lot of times, we'll like to dabble in that here and there. But mostly we want to be at home with the cat watching TV our writing our stories, our painting at home. The key words being at home. And and sometimes to please our partner, we may try and change and go with them like to all these events, and it's just so draining. The INFP may end up sitting, in a corner by themselves, like, and their partner might be looking at them like, what is wrong with them? This is not who they are. Why are they acting so weird? And it's because we're so drained. Like being around that many people is just too much. So that might be something that could be a potential problem in an ENFJ INFP relationship. But it can be, solved. You just have to come to an agreement about how much you're going to go out and, you know, yeah, that. So the next relationship are INFPs and ENFPs. When those two find each other, they might think that they found like their missing other half or their missing twin because they're usually almost exactly the same personality wise. I found that my ENFP friends are almost just like me, except all of the stuff that I am that's hidden on the inside, like you know how it is with INFPs. Once you get to know us, we don't shut up. We're always talking. We, I don't know, we're just super passionate and like to an extreme degree. Well, all of that that's hidden on the inside behind walls of like caution and insecurity. Well, the ENFPs have that without the walls. So when the two of us meet, we're like, oh my God, we're just alike. And it's just so much fun. I think ENFPs are just magical, lovely people, and I would hate this world without them, to be honest. I think they're just wonderful. But the one aspect of this relationship that might be need some like fine tuning and a little TLC is the fact that we are usually exactly the same. So that means like, you know how INFPs don't really, generally speaking, don't really enjoy the details of everyday life, like figuring out, okay, how much should I invest in? What should I invest in? Or figuring out the minutia of health insurance. That kind of stuff, like it literally makes me nauseous. I do not want to deal with it. Well, when you have a partner who is just like you and they don't want to deal with it either, that means that some really important life things will not get done. So if an INFP and an ENFP are together, they might need to like figure out how they're going to divvy up those important daily responsibilities because they have to get done. Otherwise, life could be really bad. Now, what about INFPs and INFJs? Well, they can have an amazing relationship because usually these two types have the same moral compass. Um, they both are interested in the same theoretical subjects, usually have the same creative interests. So it's really great. They have like a lot to just talk about forever. Like I remember I worked with an INFJ um, at one of my jobs. And we would spend hours just talking, 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 talking. And that wasn't even like a romantic relationship, none of that. It was just, we just were compatible. And it was really wonderful. Now, the one thing that might creep up in this relationship is that both the INFJ and the INFP are so super polite and they both have an extreme need for space. So when that comes up, the INF, both of them actually, the INFP and the INFJ, might know that something is a little off and they need to take some space from each other, but they're too polite to say it. So with those two, communication is super important to keep the relationship healthy. Now, when it comes to the ESFJ and the INFP, honestly, I don't know too much about the ESFJ personality type. Like, I need to research that a little more. But when I looked it up, I read that INFPs and ESFJs are two of the most caring personality types. They tend to be highly aware of each other's needs in a relationship and in tune with feelings, their feelings. So they have a high emotional intelligence, and that can be really beneficial in their relationships. I'm not sure about like the downside or what to be careful of in that relationship. So anyway, that's what I found when I looked this up online, and also just from personal experience that INFPs are usually compatible with INFJs, ENFPs, ENFJs, and ESFJs. But what do you think? What do you think, or who do you think is the best partner for an INFP? And what's your experience been in that regard? Thank you so much for watching, and if you like this video, please feel free to subscribe. All right, bye.